Okay. I'm just going to take 30 seconds, play this. Just gives you kind of a quick glimpse of some of the stuff we're working on. Maybe with audio. Is there audio? Applause. Great. Yeah. Thank you. You're very gracious. Hi, everyone. I'm Sam. It's nice to be here. I'm going to put this down now. I'm doing my own technology here, so give me one moment. As I was just saying over here, I have arrived on Monday and enjoyed 2 days in Hyderabad. This is my first time. It's amazing. And then I had the opportunity to visit some fine studios and meet some good people. And then yesterday I hopped on a plane, went up to Mumbai for the day, and then came back early this morning. And now it's the end of the day and you're all sitting, and I could probably use a tea just to keep me going. But what is energizing for me is to be able to be here, see your faces. I'm not going to talk long. If it's of any interest, please ask some questions, because I'd far rather just talk about what you're interested in than what I'm here to talk about. So, I have the privilege of being the CEO of Hippo Entertainment. We're an entertainment company. Most of our work is in video games. We believe video games are part of the entertainment industry. So it's more than just games. When you're doing your games, you got to think about how you're building your creative package and what that might lead to. So that's why we're Hippo Entertainment. It may go to other things. What you create may one day be a game. What you create may one day be an animation. It may be a TikTok video. It may be a movie. One never knows. So that's why we're Hippo Entertainment. I'm from Canada. I came from Canada. I left Canada 2 weeks ago. I went and spent a week last week in Korea at G-Star. So it was interesting to see the Korean market, another difference in the international marketplace. So this being my first time in India, it just accentuates the fact that there's so much that we have to learn from each other. Korea is totally different than North America from a marketplace. I mean, in Korea, if you want to have a game, it seems all that people do is RPGs. But there's a lot more, and they're learning it. But anyway, I learned a lot about what's happening in Korea, and we look forward to our games being played more in Korea. And our purpose as a company is to have people around the world play our games. So that's what I'm here for, is I want to learn. I'm learning from you. So the fact that I'm on the stage doesn't mean that I know the stuff. It just means that I'm sort of I wish I could do the question period the other way, actually. That'd be better. I am from Canada. Just to give you sort of a perspective of Canada, I've come from a small town. My city is 200,000 people. We had the opportunity about 12 years in our little town of Kelowna my friend drew a little penguin, and that penguin ended up being the world's largest community for kids, which was Club Penguin. And because of that, it attracted a lot of great talent to our little town. And it totally transformed our little town. Our little town of 200,000 people is now one of the best tech hubs in Canada. Probably for its size, one of the best in North America. So it's different. It's a very different environment than what you have here in Hyderabad. This is a view from just down from my house. It's wine country, it's orchards, we have a beautiful lake. But this is more realistic of what it looks like now, because we're in Canada, it's winter. And this is pictures of skiing with my family. So it's wintertime there. And yes, it does get cold. It gets very cold. And snow is starting to fall on the ground. So we will ski and play hockey. Canadians are very happy for that. I'm learning more about cricket while I'm here. I've had three descriptions of cricket, so thank you for sharing that. I had the opportunity to meet somebody from the CEO at Microsoft, and in our conversation, he was like, "Please make me a cricket game." These are the games that are our main titles at this point. We have a company called Screenzilla, which is a publisher, and we are publishing. We have been blessed in that we started a game about 5 years ago called Adventure Capitalist. It was an amazing story. I found it amazing. Somebody came along. He was a writer. He was not a game designer. He was a writer. He said, I would like to design, I have this idea for a game. And we said, great, present it to the team. Presented it to the team. Nobody on the team liked it. Everybody said, don't like it, don't want to work on it. So he asked me, can I take 2 weeks and learn Unity? And so we said, sure, go for it. He went and took 2 weeks, learned how to do some basic coding. As you can imagine, after 2 weeks, it was horrible. He went to another friend in the studio and said, this is my project, I'm trying to work on this. His friend worked on it and said, hey, let me help you make the coding a little bit better. He did. He said, but somebody else can help us with this. And then it went from one to the other, to the other, to the other in the studio. Everybody contributed a little bit on the whole project, and everybody was excited because all of a sudden it was starting to take life. So this project that nobody wanted to work on, so far we've had, I think, 80 million players around the globe. Kind of changed things in our company. So when somebody says no, don't get lost on that if that's a passion that you are. I can skip through a lot of these things, but really a big thing for me that I want to kind of go through was 3 things. It's great to be here and learn, and I hope that you know that you're part of something that is a worldwide community in making games. It's something that's really cool. I don't know what it's like here in India or in your home country, Bangladesh, or wherever it might be, but 10 years ago, if you went into games, I said this the other day, if you went into games, your parents thought they did something wrong. And it's like, oh my goodness, what happened to my child? Now, I have parents coming up to me all the time, and they are grateful for their children who have gone and grown up and now become very successful in the games industry. And I hope it's the same for you here. It's actually a very prestigious industry to be working on in our country. It's a very tangible. The skills are huge. It's well regarded within the community. And frankly, the salaries and the earnings that you can make in the games industry is the top spectrum for people that are of the age. So it's a great industry. So I hope that that's what's happening in the industry here. And the reason that I love to do it every day is a statement we came up with, which is we are connecting people around the world. That whole idea of connecting people. We think that's something very powerful. There's a lot of crazy things going on in the world this day. And hopefully we can create a greater level of understanding of people by just knowing what we're doing. We're playing games, we're having fun. So to me, that's a way of having an impact on the world. So that's why I get up every morning and do the things we do. I said we were going to talk about brands. Brands, I'll go through it quick, but really the reason I picked this out is because we're in the entertainment industry, and this is a discussion, this is our business plan at Hyper Hippo. This is really what we're working on. And so, not having any secrets, we talk about making games, which is very fun, but we think what is really valuable is when you create brands. We think brands, as we say here, become the single most valuable part of our future in our company. So think about that, what that means is to your assets, if you're in this for business in any type of way, our goal is how do we make more brands? How do we make more brands? And we look at the adventure brand being one brand, and we want to create other brands and be moving across that. And so one of the things that we've been going through as an exploration is that to us, brands is no longer, when we look out at the world, brands aren't just a logo anymore. That's what a lot of people think of when they think about what's your brand, what's Coca-Cola or any of those type of things. I mean, these were examples that popped into my head when I thought of brands. What are some of the universal brands? And I thought, these are big brands. And I walk off the airport in Hyderabad, and what do I see? I see a Starbucks and I see a McDonald's. I walk off the airport in Mumbai, I see Starbucks, I see a McDonald's. I walk off the airport in Seoul, I see a Starbucks and McDonald's. I walk off the airport in Vancouver, I'll see a Starbucks and I'll see a McDonald's. And the transition that we find that's very interesting in our industry, which we think will actually make us leaders in industry, because we're starting to see this expand beyond, and I get calls every month for people asking about what does this mean, because what you're doing in the brand world. And what it means is that it used to be the brands were who we went to for what we wanted. We used to go to McDonald's because we wanted a Big Mac. We went to Starbucks because we wanted a latte. We went to Coca-Cola because we wanted all the Coke. And we went to the brand because we expected the brand to do something, fill in the blank, whatever it might be. And this is where we think that there's a big transition happening right now, is that transition is, it's not the brands that we're going to, but it's the brands coming to us as individuals. Each one here has a different vision. If I was to say what McDonald's or Starbucks means, each one of you is going to have a different, some of you are going to go, ooh, yuck. Some of you are going to go, yum. Everyone's going to have a different experience. So what is that different experience going to be? So this is where we have a very unique thing in our industry, because we have the cutting edge technology. We have very bright people. And I would say people who have not been molded, if I want to say that, in a way of thinking of the way of old corporate branding. We have the opportunity to think of things new. Starbucks and McDonald's are starting to learn this. If you go into a Starbucks anywhere in the world, you're actually going to see a different. I literally have done this in the last 2 weeks. I went from Vancouver to Seoul and Busan to Hyderabad to Mumbai. Every place has a different menu. They have some of the cores, but they have different menus, so they're starting to personalize. They can only take that so far because of what their product is. But for us here who are making games, we can take this to a whole new level that nobody's ever conceived of before. Because where I spend most of my time, and frankly where I spend most of my money, is figuring out how I'm going to make my game experiences of venture capitalists and other games and future games, how I'm going to make the game for you. And then when you start to play it, it's going to be a game that works for you. Because your game is going to be a little bit different. You might be playing Adventure Capitalist, but it's going to have a slightly different twist because it's a way that you like to play it. And so this is where it's going to be a different thing because of the things of, the technology of AI and machine learning and things that are coming along. We're able to do some stuff that nobody has ever dreamt of doing before. This is where your parents are going to go like, holy cow, you did something pretty incredible. Like, wow. Like, we have the best data scientists we can get our hands on. We have the best programmers we can get our hands on. Like, we're talking about the best of whoever we can. We have the best artists that we can get our hands on. Why? Because we think we're doing something that's really cool, hasn't been done, and it takes that type of brain power to do it. So this is where we say we think we're in a transition of going from when you used to know what your favorite brand is to your favorite brand now knowing who you are. That's going to be a different thing. So get to know who your players are, build your brands. And the reason I put this here is building your brands is each relationship is unique. And that's really tough when you're working with analytics and general analytics that take you to a certain level. Like, here's my averages, here's my average DAU, here's my average ARPDAU, and all these type of things. You're going to get way beyond that. And you're going to get into knowing who is your audience. And when you get to know who your audience is, you're going to build systems that one day will let you know exactly how to work with each of those individuals. Use your analytics wisely. This is part of what I've been talking about. And I put test in there just because people at home would be disappointed if I didn't say, are you testing this with real players? Always test it with real players, whatever you're doing. This was just a sort of in closing, a little bit of a summary of what I just thought would be fun to throw in, because this is our experience and experiences I've seen in other countries, and just early conversations, and I may be totally off base on all of this. I totally say it. But this is just early impression of what Sam's sense of 3 steps to successful game industry in India. And I could be totally off. And I don't say it's rocket science, but these are the things I think that are important for the Indian gaming culture industry to do to really thrive and survive, go to a level. I hear about opportunity, opportunity, and opportunity. And I think for the rest of us in the rest of the world, we're starting to understand that there's huge opportunity in the Indian game market. That's what we're hearing all the time. I would say most of the international companies don't know how to make it an opportunity, because all they've figured out so far is that it's an opportunity, but what do we do? I think this is something where you have a really unique opportunity for those who are in the Indian game industry. And so how can you take advantage of the opportunity that you have right now? And so these are 3 simple steps. Number 1, don't forget to compete globally. And what I mean by that is don't expect that your games are going to be like huge international hits as you're building them, but benchmark yourself against the best games out there. Doesn't mean you're going to be the best game out there. It's okay not to be the best game, but make your game, and when you set your standards, don't judge it based on your last game and say, hey, I did better than the last game. That was good. Well, maybe your last game didn't do very well either. So what you need to do is you need to say, hey, listen, these are the people that I really want to benchmark against. This is what a game really needs to do to be successful on a global marketplace. Maybe that's not what you need in the local marketplace at this point in time. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But at least you know what it is that the benchmarks need to be. And pick out what your metrics are and build towards those metrics and measure yourself towards those specific metrics. Be specific. Find out what those metrics are that are important to you and important to your game. Find out what they are in the best games in your area and track against that. At least then you'll know where you stand. And the reason I think that that's important is because in the end, you're trying to rise to a level, and you shouldn't be satisfied really to give people in your players a second-rate experience. So compete globally. Doesn't mean that you have to be doing global results. It just means you need to know what those benchmarks are. The second part, which I find is an important part, is the idea of original IP, building original IP. And let me explain really quickly why I think original IP is so important. It's very easy to do work for hire. Not easy in the sense of like it's easy to do it. It's just there's a lot of work for hire work out there. There's people who need you to do work for hire. Sure, great. It's one way of learning a skill. It's one way of building. But if you're really working towards building up your own industry, it's going to be building your own IPs that are going to really set the standard. It's a tough thing to do because, number one, I want to pay the bills. And I want to feed the family. So that's nice for service work. Original IP is a bit more of a unknown. But it's the original IP which gives you, if you own the IP and you control the IP, you're the one who controls the destiny of this product. Too many times I've seen in all around the world where people are building that exciting title that they got from somewhere else. It's not their title, but they have to go get approvals for all the work that they release. It extends the schedules. It increases costs. And then I have personal friends who spent lots of money building a game, and at the last moment, the IP holder decided they didn't want to release the game. Oh, where are you then? Sorry, you don't control your destiny. You really have to have something that builds it, and I think that gives an identity to you as a country as well, and as the Indian game industry. So my encouragement is, as gut-wrenching as it might be at times, build original IP. And I said at the beginning about compete globally. That doesn't mean that you have to be at the top of the global charts or be even releasing. You just have to be building high standard games. When you do that, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see Indian companies building games and dominating the top 50 in your charts. When you go to Korea, you look through the charts, it's Korean games. When you go to Japan, you look through the charts, they're generally Japanese games. You go to China and you look through it, it's generally Chinese games. You go to the United States, You look through it, it's a mishmash. It's all over the place. But that's because the United States is tripping and falling, I think, on the creative side. But this is where I think you have the ability, if you're looking out 5-10 years from now, Indian studios should be owning the top 50. Doesn't mean there won't be international competition. And it doesn't mean you should protect yourself from international competition. But it means that that's how you should see yourself. If you dominate in the Indian charts, I guarantee you're going to expand and you'll see immense global success. So those are the 3 steps to Indian success. Compete globally, set your benchmarks, build original IP, and I'm going to come back here each year and see how there's more and more Indian companies owning the charts. It's worth tracking. I think it'll be interesting to see. So that's simply it. That is my time.